Hello, everyone, and welcome to NL Recess. Today we have with us Durjoy Datta. I'll just quickly start with a very basic question. Your first book came out in 2008. How many books have you written till now?
If you just count the paperbacks, I think it's 19. But if you also count the audiobooks, I think it's 21, 22.
That's a lot.
So yeah, that's the only thing I do. So a lot of people ask me, oh, how are you so prolific? It's just because I absolutely have nothing else to do in my life, and that's why I just I just keep writing.
So you majored in marketing and finance, and from what I know, you left your job at American Express before taking writing full time. When did it come to you that you want to be a full time writer and not a marketer? And was it a tough decision to, back in the day, because this is like quite long ago. So was it a tough decision for you to take?
It was, and to be honest, I still haven't come to terms with it. I mean, there are a lot of times that I look at all the other students who are with me at India Gurgaon or Delhi College of Engineering, and I think to myself that should I have done this? But then I have to tell myself that for the last 10 years, I haven't had a boss. I get up at my own time. I can set my own schedule, and I can do whatever I want to, and I can take 3 days off if I want to, and then start work again. So I have to keep reminding myself that the decision that I took was a wise one. And eventually, when you look at it from the perspective of, okay, what did you do in the past 10 years, it sounds like, oh, okay, so you did all this. You went to an engineering college, you went to a management college, and you quitted everything to become a full-time writer. It sounds like a huge risk, but it was like a slow progression.
In one of your previous interviews, you said you're the pioneer in keeping bad titles of books. I'll just name a few of titles of your books.
Yeah.
You were
Please
my
don't.
no, I mean for our audience who are not aware, I'll just name a few. You were my crush till you said you love me. Of course, I'm sing. Oh yes, I'm single, and so is my girlfriend. Of course, I love you till I find someone better. What were you thinking when you were writing these titles? Like you practically give the plot of the book away in a sense.
Sometimes more than the plot of the book.
Exactly. Like I have like retained a lot of the names, but yeah, like how did you come up with these titles?
Okay, so there's a story behind that.
So do you regret those titles now? Like looking back, do you think you could have given the book a better name?
I mean, see, it only gets embarrassing when I go to colleges or I do stuff like this, and the person introduces me with the full titles of the books. Okay, we have a best-selling writer, blah 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 blah, and he has written books which are named "You Are My Crush Till You Said You Love Me." Then it gets a little embarrassing.
That's how we
But having
started.
said that, like if I were given an opportunity to go back in time and change the titles, I mean it's quite risky because a lot of people, which including you, picked up the books because it was named a certain way.
Coming to A Touch of Eternity, which is your recent book. Now, since I've read a lot of your books, I find this one a little different. I mean, there's a popular narrative that the Joyce books are college romance, if not romance. But this one goes beyond romance. It has science, it has reincarnation, it has elements of history, spirituality, politics. It's like a everything packaged in one thing. It's like a blend of everything. Was it a conscious decision to write this one, or did you just start from a blank slate and went with the flow?
So I wrote this book, I think back in 2012 or something. It was called Till the Last Breath, and I wrote it to check whether this is the only reason why my books work, because this was coming from people who are well read and more knowledgeable, etc., etc. So I was like, okay, let us check this hypothesis out. So I wrote Till the Last Breath with just keeping in mind that I will not have college in it. So I set that book in a hospital. I will not have an observation was that you write a lot of intimate scenes, and that's why young people read your books. So I was like, okay, let me not keep any intimate scenes in the book. And yeah, it was. So these are the few things, and yeah, that because you have a strange title, that's why people pick up your book. So I named the book Till the Last Breath with no subtitle or anything. So what happened was that book worked, and I was like, yeah, I can do this. So since that time, I have sort of stayed away from writing love stories that are set in a campus. A, because of the first reason. B, because I'm also getting older. So as a 35-year-old, I cannot authentically write a love story between two 19-year-olds um, with keeping their college in focus.
Coming to the characters and setting of this story, how often are they inspired from your own life?
So when you're young, and when I was young, I thought I was the most interesting person in the room, and that's why I used to write a lot of things that were inspired by me or the people that I used to hang out with, because I was like, of course, by reflection, these are also the most interesting people in the world. But as you grow up, you realize that that's not true. Now I don't write about myself anymore. I mean, the only remnant of writing about myself is the fact that I still keep the protagonist's name as starting with D. That's the only thing that I do, because in the first draft of every book, the character is always named Durjoy.
Like the D comes from your name. Does the A thing also comes from someone who's close to you?
It comes from Avantika, my wife, and
Right.
that has been that has been the case from the very first book.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, so across drafts, I write with Durjoy Avantika, and by the time I finish the book, I really don't care what the names are. I just Google names starting with D and names starting with A, and I just press Control H, replace all.
You're not only an accomplished novelist but also a screenwriter, like we discussed this before. In terms of writing, how is it different? Like, is it the same kind of writing style? Is it, the narrative is similar or the thought process is similar, or is it just like two different things?
A lot of writers, a lot of novelists come up to me and say that, can I write for television? And I tell them that there's a huge learning curves, because when you're writing, the only person you have to convince uh, for the story is you yourself. Like if I'm writing a book, I only have to convince myself. So writing for television becomes very difficult because everyone has a say. Everyone is a reviewer, and before it goes on screen, there are so many people who have stake in that story that they'll keep telling you that this is not right and this is right, etc., etc.
After writing so many novels, do you still get stuck or face writer's block, or some days that you can't write or you can't go beyond a certain page and you feel that no, I shouldn't, I just should stop writing and never get back to writing again?
Oh, I don't have that luxury because this is my career now, and
Right.
I have a child, so I have to figure out a way to write. But because I've been writing for the last, I don't know what, 2013, 14 years, I know that this is a phase. I just have to write myself out of it. The difficult part isn't writer's block. The difficult part is when your writer's block comes after you are, say, 30,000 into your story. Because then that means either write yourself out of this corner or jump 30,000 and start afresh. And starting afresh is a lucrative option because when you're starting a book, you have a lot of ideas. It's only when you're in the middle is when you sort of start getting stuck and you don't know where to go ahead. So that's the difficult part.
If you had to give A Touch of Eternity a title, like coming from your old titles from the 2008 Durjoy, what was the title? What title will you give this one?
It will be
मुफ्त खोरो मुफ्त में इतना ही मिलेगा. To watch the full unedited interview, you have to subscribe to News Laundry and pay to keep news free, because when the public pays, the public is served. We depend on you and not on advertisers. So go to www.newslaundry.com/subscription and subscribe and get all our unedited interviews, our special video shows, comics, and everything that's behind the paywall. Remember, to subscribe to News Laundry, you pay just about 10 rupees a day. That's less than, a cigarette, and smoking is injurious to health. So subscribe and watch the full interview.
Ritika says, hi Durjoy, what are your views about the question of separating art from the artist?
Wanted to understand what was your inspiration behind the character of Aisha.
If I were to write Our Impossible Love now, I will think 10,000 times before writing it, because Our Impossible Love was written from a girl's point of view. And writing like that now, I can almost imagine people on Twitter saying that as a 35-year-old man, how can you sort of write from a point of view of a 17-year-old girl? And I understand that point of view. I mean, see, any kind of hero worship is sort of useless because, like, no matter what hero you do, you know, put on a pedestal, they will fall off it anyway. With so much public scrutiny, everyone is going to fall off their high horse. I've seen a few things on the internet where an AI writes an entire book, and some of it is really coherent. And like, if this is the future, then I'll have to start training for a new job. I mean, I don't think that, like, I'm not strong enough to sort of do that. Okay, oh, so this is a brilliant piece of art that I really like, and now I'll stop watching because this person said something in a tweet. I really can't do that.
Have you taken a new project, or we have to wait for your next book?
I'm crossing that threshold now, so I can't talk about it because I don't know the things because I'm very superstitious.